So today I have a customer who would like their garage floor painted. And the first thing I tell people when they ask me to do that is it's going to take more than one day to get this job done. It's a 2-3 day minimum process, primarily because it needs to be cleaned thoroughly. Preparation's key, just like any other paint job. So the first step to this project would be emptying out the space. There's a lot of the homeowner's personal property in here. We need to get it out so we can get to every inch of the floor. Then we need to clean the floor. First step there is vacuuming to get the loose debris off the floor. Then we clean it with a heavy-duty degreaser. In a garage, especially it's being used, cars parked in here, more than likely have grease and oil on the floor that will need to be cleaned. And as far as degreasers go, I prefer to use Simple Green. There's a lot of other products out there, Purple Power, there's many. As long as it's a heavy-duty degreaser, it should get the job done. You can go to the automotive parts store, and there's a lot of options there as well. But simply you have to wet the floor down. You can use a garden hose, a mop bucket, whatever. Apply your degreaser. So you'll want to use a wire brush to break down the oils and grease on the floor. You should use a stainless steel wire brush that will not rust, as opposed to a carbon steel one that will rust if you get it wet. And there's a bunch of different options, but I like one that has a good firm handle over the top of the bristles so you can really apply some down pressure. So once the floor has been cleaned with degreaser, I like to apply an etching solution to the whole surface of the floor, which will basically give the concrete a little bit of tooth and to allow the paint to stick. It's basically like sanding. And I use muriatic acid, but there are a lot of products out there that are etching solutions that don't use muriatic acid. They're a little less corrosive, but I like using muriatic acid. That's my preference, but just make sure you read the label, follow the directions, follow all the safety protocols whenever using it. But it's simply applied with a garden sprayer, a pump sprayer. You spray it down the surface, let it sit 10 minutes, and then rinse it with clean water. So as part of the prep before painting cement floor, you'll need to address any cracks that might be in the floor. And the first thing you're going to want to do is clean them out real well. Okay, so I'm going to try to remove any loose material. So we have a sound substrate here, and you just dig in with your 5-in-1 and pop any of this stuff out. Look at that, all these chunks. Draw it through there. You're creating a V shape, opening it up a little bit so that you can apply the crack filler. And get it right down in there, as deep as you possibly can. See that, all that stuff. And you'll want to vacuum this out. In areas like this, where there's been spalling and flaked out around the crack, you can see fibers coming out. That's where I would really bring in the wire brush and give it a good firm brushing back and forth to remove any loose debris there. And this wire brush does have a point on it, which is nice for getting right into the crack. Works well for that. The 5-in-1, really the go-to tool here. So there's a lot of products on the market that you can use to repair a crack in a cement floor. One of the most commonly used is hydraulic cement. It's quick and easy to use. It's a powdered material. You have to mix with water. And if you're going to use that, you're going to want to apply some water to the crack just before you apply the filler. But bear in mind, any excess material with any of these products, any excess material will have to be ground down to smooth before you apply any paint products over it. So it makes a nice smooth transition. This is also what you would want to use if you have an active leak, if water is coming through the crack, or the crack stays wet from ground pressurized water. This product is what you would have to use in that case. If it's not an active leak, you have a bunch of other choices. They also make a liquid crack filler cement crack filler. It's easy to use and it flows down into the crack nicely. You'll probably have to do multiple applications of this before it actually sits flush, depending on how deep the crack is. Another option for repairing a crack in a concrete floor is a two-part epoxy system. And I picked this up on Amazon for about $250, $260, I think it was. And it comes with this cool caulking gun that holds 2 tubes at once, and the product mixes together at the nozzle, and you apply it directly to the crack using this system. It's a professional system and it has good results and reviews. Again, you're going to need to grind smooth any product that's proud of the floor with an angle grinder or even a random orbital sander with an aggressive disc on it after the product dries completely. So the last step in the prep process before we start painting is to do a moisture test to make sure the concrete is dry enough to accept paint. And to do that, you simply need to take a piece of plastic, about 12 inch by 12 inch roughly, and tape it to the floor. Make sure it's taped securely on all 4 edges so air can't escape from underneath it. And wait 24 hours, and if you have moisture that is condensated on the floor side of the plastic, then it's too wet to paint and we'll need additional drying time, which could be accelerated by dehumidifiers or fans. You'll just have to reapply a piece of plastic to the floor, wait 24 hours again, and then as soon as you get a piece that has no condensation on the bottom side, the floor will be dry enough to accept paint or stain. Choosing the paint is important. I've used a lot of products over the years and found that epoxy-based products perform much better than a straight latex product. One product that I've used in the past and had good results with is the Seal Krete product, Krete-Seal, and it has its own primer and top coat, and it's epoxy based. It's soap and water cleanup, so it's easy to use and it performs well.